Good morning, students. In the last class, we discussed the electronegativity, electropositivity, metallic and non-metallic character, valency, and oxidation state concepts. Now, in the today's class, we discussed the some more important topics related to the elements. One is diagonal relationship. What do you mean by the diagonal relationship? In periodic table, an element of a group in the second period is similar in properties with the second element of a next group in the third period. That is called as diagonal relationship. What is that? An element of a second group in second period. Second period, an element. For example, let us take lithium. This is in a group. First group, element lithium, which is present in the second period. This is the element is similar in properties with the second element of a next group. Okay, next group is this is one. In that one, second element is magnesium of third period. It belongs to the third period. This lithium and magnesium are similar in some of the properties. Okay, so these two are present diagonally in the periodic table. Okay, so the elements which are present diagonally are similar in properties. That's why this relationship is called as diagonal relationship. So this diagonal relationship can be appeared for all the elements present in the second period and third period. No. So this is disappears after 14th group. This is only up to lithium, magnesium, beryllium, aluminium, and boron, silicon cases only. After the 14th group, the carbon never shows the diagonal relationship with the phosphorus. Only the lithium, magnesium, and beryllium and aluminium, boron and silicon are similar in properties. After the 14th group, the diagonal relationship is disappears. Why they are similar in properties? Why they can only show diagonal relationship? So when we are observing, so their size, almost they are similar in size. And when we are observing the electronegativity, almost both are nearly same electronegative in nature, and polarizing power also should be same. What is polarizing power? How do you calculate it? Is ionic charge divided by ionic radius whole square. So when we see the size or electronegativity or polarizing power, so the lithium and magnesium, beryllium and aluminium, boron and silicon are similarly present. That's why they can show similar in properties, because most of the properties are related to which one? Size and electronegativity. So that's why once they are almost similar in size and almost the same electronegativity, their properties also will be mostly similar. That's why these are the elements can be shows similar in properties and diagonally. That's why this relationship is called as diagonal relationship. So the next topic is nature of oxides. So the most of the elements can form the oxides. What do you mean by the oxides? Oxide is nothing but element plus oxygen. Any element other than oxygen, so that is combined with oxygen, whatever the compound is formed, that is called as oxides. So now here, these oxides are four types: acidic oxides, basic oxides, neutral oxides, amphoteric oxides. What is the difference between these four types of oxides? Acidic oxides. So acidic oxides means when these oxides are dissolved in water, if they form acidic solution or acids, then those oxides are treated as acidic oxides. If the oxide is dissolved in water, if it forms basic solution or base, then that oxide is called basic oxide. Neutral oxide means does not give either acidic solution or basic solution. When they are dissolved in water, they form neutral oxides. And amphoteric oxides, just like metallides, they can show both the character, acidic character as well as basic character, depending upon the situation. That oxides are called as amphoteric oxides. And that means, so the distinction is when they are dissolved in water, if they form acids, they are called acidic oxides. If they form base, that is called basic oxide. If that does not give either acidic solution or basic solution, they are neutral. If they can show acidic character as well as basic character, they can treat it as amphoteric oxides. Now which elements are forming these oxides? Generally the acidic oxides are formed by the non-metals. Non-metals means they are present at the right hand side of the periodic table mostly. That is p block elements. So the p block elements are generally forming, the non-metals are forming these acidic oxides. For example, carbon dioxide, sulfur trioxide or chlorine oxides. So for example, the carbon dioxide is dissolved in water, we get carbonic acid. Okay, sulfur trioxide is dissolved in water, we get sulfuric acid. When these oxides are dissolved in water, forming their acidic solution. What is here? Carbon and sulfur. Carbon and sulfur are not metals. Okay, simply they are non-metals. So they are always ready to accept the electron. So they are always said to be least electropositive in nature, most electronegative in nature. So these acidic oxides are formed by the elements which are having the least electropositivity and most electronegativity. They are called simply which one? Non-metals. Comes to the basic oxides. The basic oxides are examples are sodium oxide and calcium oxide. Calcium oxide, whenever it is dissolved in water, we get calcium, lime. So the calcium hydroxide. Sodium oxide is dissolved in water, we get sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide and calcium hydroxides, you are very well known, those are treated as bases. So now here sodium and calcium combined with oxygen to form sodium oxide and calcium oxide respectively. Sodium and calcium are belongs to group 1 and group 2 elements. Group 1 and group 2 elements are called as alkali metals and alkaline earth metals. So from this example, what we concluded is generally the metals can form the basic oxides. So metals can form the basic oxides. So what are the metals which are most electropositive and least electronegative? So they are treated as the metals. So that metals can form the basic oxides. Those when they are dissolved in water, they can form basic solution. And it comes to the neutral oxides. So some of the oxides do not give either acidic or basic solution. What are the examples here? Nitric oxide, nitrous oxide, carbon monoxide. Even though these oxides are formed by some of the non-metals like carbon and nitrogen, but when they are dissolved in water, they never form either acidic solution or basic solution. That's why these are treated as neutral oxides. And it comes to the fourth one is amphoteric oxides. These oxides, when they are dissolved in water, okay, they can show both the character, acidic character as well as the basic character. These oxides are called amphoteric oxides. Generally, amphoteric oxides are formed by aluminium, okay, osmium, so not osmium, As2O3, arsenic, and Sb2O3. These Al, Sb, As, and all these three are belongs to the metalloid character. They can show metallic character as well as the non-metallic character. That's why generally the metalloids are forming the amphoteric oxides. So acidic oxides are formed by the non-metals, basic oxides are formed by the metals, amphoteric oxides are formed by the metalloids. So how this acidic character and basic character is varies in groups and periods. So that is now we have to discuss. So how this acidic character and basic character is varies in periods and groups is, the generalized statement is, as we move from left to right in a period, acidic character increases, basic character is decreases. As we move from left to right, generally the metallic character decreases. So when metallic character is decreases, metals can form which oxides? Basic oxide. So that's why the basic character is decreases. So left to right, non-metallic character is what happen? Increases. When non-metallic character is increases, non-metals can form which one? Acids. That is acidic oxides. That's why acidic nature increases. So that's why left to right, metallic character is decreases, non-metallic character is increases, or electropositivity decreases, electronegativity increases. That's why so the basic nature is decreases and acidic nature is increases. Simply, so as we go down the group, acidic character is decreases, basic character is increases. So down that is top to bottom. What is happened is simply, so metallic character is increases. metallic character increases. The metals are forming the basic oxides, that's why, so basic nature is decreases. Now, the non-metallic character is decreases top to bottom. So, the non-metals are forming the acidic oxides, that's why acidic character is decreases. So, that's why as we go down the group, acidic character is decreases, basic character is increases, due to metallic character is increases or non-metallic character is decreases. This is the variation of the acidic character and basic character in periods and groups. You need to be remember any one, either acidic character or basic character. Left to right, acidic character is increases, basic character is decreases. Down the group, the basic character is increases, acidic character is decreases. This is the variation of the acidic and basic nature. And it comes to the another important topic in that classification of elements and periodicity in properties, anomalous behavior of second period elements. This is very commonly observed while discussing the periodicity in properties, the size and ionization enthalpy, electron gain enthalpy, electronegativity. Sometimes the second period elements are showing the abnormal character and you are expected something but that can show the deviation from your expected character. So why they can show the different character in some of the cases? So the reason is, one is the small size of the atom and the other one is high electronegativity and the non-availability of d orbitals in their valency shell, because in all the second period elements it is confined to n is equal to 2. If n is equal to 2, the number of L values are possible 2. What are that? 0 and 1. So 0 is corresponding to the S subshell, 1 is corresponding to the P subshell. 2S and 2P subshells are possible. The 2D subshell is not possible. But whereas in the rest of the elements, the D subshell is possible, the D orbitals are available. That's why the another reason is non-availability of d orbitals in the second period, but whereas in other periods the availability of d orbitals are there. And greater ability to form the p-pi bond. So because the p orbitals are involved in the formation of a bonding either between the same elements or different elements of the second period. But whenever we go to the third and fourth period elements, so the p-pi bond does not exist, which is exist instead of that one p-pi and d-pi. Because the sizes increases, they may not able to form the strong pi bond, and that's why the p-pi bond is do not formed by the next period elements, but the second period elements are strongly formed because of the smaller size, greater overlapping takes place, that will be results into the strong pi bond between the two atoms of second period elements. So these are the reasons: small size, higher electronegativity, non-availability of d orbitals in the valency shell, greater ability to form p-pi bond between the same or different atoms is the responsible reasons for the anomalous behavior. For example, you know very well, as we go down the group, the electron gain enthalpy values are decreases. Fluorine is said to be the most electron gain enthalpy value in the case of halogens, if you follow that trend. But what we say there, the chlorine is said to be the most electron gain enthalpy value than fluorine. The reason we say is there, the fluorine is due to the smaller atomic size, relatively the greater interelectronic repulsions are present. To overcome the repulsions, some energy will be utilized. That's why less amount of energy is released in the case of fluorine. But normally, if you go normal, applying the principle, fluorine is said to be the most, highest, more negative electron gain enthalpy value. But what is there in reality? Chlorine is there. You are expected fluorine, but chlorine is more negative electron gain enthalpy. What is the reason? The reason is small size. Fluorine belongs to which period? Second period. And fluorine is also said to be the most electronegative in nature. Non-availability of d orbitals in their valency shell. So in the case of that, some of the elements of the second period, the valency is maximum confined to the their number of valency electrons present in that one. But in other elements, the valence may be exceeded. For example, the oxygen is there. The oxygen is always can form the only two bonds. It can be combined with the two hydrogen atoms. So, but whereas the sulfur is can form H2S and SO2. Is there H2S and SO2. H2S means your sulfur can combine with two hydrogen atoms. So what is that? Your valency is 2. When in the case of this SO2, what is the valency of sulfur? Double the number of oxygen atom. 2 into 2, 4. The sulfur can exhibit the valency 2 and 4, but oxygen valency is 2. So what is the reason for that one? Why the sulfur can extend its valency? What is the reason is? The reason is availability of d orbital, because sulfur belongs to third subshell. Okay, 3s, 3p and 3d subshells are possible. So that's why in that 3d subshell, the vacant d orbitals are there. That's why it is easily promotion of electron is possible from 3p to 3d. More number of electrons are available. All those electrons are participating in the bond formation that results into the valency is 4. Sometimes it may also form the SO3. Here the valency is 6 and 4 here 2. The sulfur can exhibit these 2, 4, 6. But what in oxygen can exhibit only 2 is the valency. So it is a common 2, 2. But oxygen never exhibit the valency 4 or 6. What is the reason for that? The reason we can simply write non-availability of d orbitals in their valency shell. It is not easily to promote the electron. Okay, oxygen 1s2, 2s2, 2p, 4. Suppose if you want to promote an electron from 2p to some other shell, is it available the shell? No. The 2d is possible? No. That's why. So the oxygen can show only the valency is 2. But whereas in the sulfur 3s2, 3p4, 3d 0. So from the 3p orbital to 3d orbital there is a promotion of electron is possible. That results into extension of its valency from 2 to 4, 4 to which one? 6. That is the reason non-availability of d orbitals in their valency shell is another reason to confine to a certain valency only in the case of the second period elements. And the p by p by bond is formed in the case of the second period elements. The second period elements never form the p pi d pi bond. Why? Because the d orbital is not available. But whereas the other elements, third period, fourth period elements, they can form the p pi bond as well as the p pi d pi bond also. Because your d orbital is not available, that's why they never form the d pi p pi bond. That is the another reason to show the anomalous character. So why the second period elements can show the anomalous character? What is the reason is? Small size of the atom and highest electronegativity, non-availability of d orbitals in the valency shell, capable to form only p pi bond. So these are the various reasons to show anomalous character of the second period elements from the rest of the period elements. So in not only this one, while you are discussing in the next coming chapters, we are discussing individual chemistry of each group elements. In that one, definitely everybody can distinguish the second period element from the third period element. Simply we can answer for most of the questions: smaller size, highest electronegativity, non-availability of d orbitals. These are the three reasons for so many questions. So for the second period elements can show anomalous character from the rest of the period elements. So this is about the variation of acidic and basic character and anomalous behavior of second period elements. So let us discuss some problems. So here the question is first ionization enthalpy, second ionization enthalpy of a few elements designated by Roman numerals. So these are the first, second, third, fourth are the elements. Their first ionization enthalpy and second ionization enthalpies are given. What does he ask? Most reactive metal, most non-reactive non-metal, noble gas, a metal, most reactive non-metal, a metal that forms stable binary halide of the formula MX2. These are the three we need to be find out. In that one is metal, one is non-metal, one is noble gas, and another one is also metal. And the three are there: metals, non-metals, a metal that can form a binary halide of the formula MX2. First, noble gas and metals and non-metals. So here we need to define. Metals means which are ready to lose the electrons. Non-metals means which is not ready to lose the electron. Noble gas means it is not ready to lose or gain the electron. Among the metal and non-metal and noble gases, so which one should have the highest ionization enthalpy? Noble gases. Why? Because they have already stable electronic configuration. From that one, if you want to remove an electron, it is very difficult. So that's why the first ionization enthalpy value is always said to be very high. So now go to the first ionization enthalpy values, where the first ionization enthalpy value is very high among the 1, 2, 3 and 4th element, first element, that is 2372. That's why the noble gas and element is which one? First one. The first one element is noble gas. Okay. Then we need to distinguish metal and non-metals. Metal is always ready to lose the electron. Therefore, their first ionization enthalpy values are very less. Non-metals are always not ready to lose the electron. So that's why their first ionization enthalpy value is very high. The first one is ruled out. Then we can concentrate at second, third and fourth. Generally, the metals are having the low ionization enthalpy value than non-metal. Here, first, second, third, fourth, which is having the highest ionization enthalpy, fourth one. The second and third are having the low ionization enthalpy values than non-metal. So that is fourth one. Fourth one is said to be the most reactive non-metal, because non-metals are having the high ionization enthalpy value than metals. Okay. First one is ruled out and fourth one is ruled out. Then what are left? Second and third. Both are metals. Okay. Now the question is a most reactive metal. That means which is ready to lose the electron. Among the second and third element which is ready to lose the electron, whichever it is having the smaller first ionization enthalpy value. Among the 520 and 900, which is having the smaller ionization enthalpy value? Second one. So that's why the most reactive metal is second one. And it comes to the last one, that is a metal that can form stable binary halide of the formula Mx2. Okay, to form the Mx2, okay, it should be combined with the two atoms, binary halide, that is halogen. Halogen valency is 1. Two halogens are there, so 2, and this valency of the metal atom is 2. So your two halogens are combined, so that's why the valency of the metal is 2. So to combine with the halogen, the metal is ready to lose the 2 electrons. Among the second and third, which is ready to lose the 2 electrons, whether the second one or third one. So wherever that first ionization enthalpy value and second ionization enthalpy value gap is less, that is ready to lose the electron. So when we see the gap between the first ionization enthalpy and second ionization enthalpy, in the case of the second element is a large gap is there. But whereas in the third element case, the energy gap between 900 and 1760, first ionization and second ionization enthalpy value is very less. That's why the third element is ready to lose the 2 electrons. So, but whereas the second one is ready to lose only 1 electron. But we need here which halide? Binary halide. It is ready to lose the 2 electrons. That's why a metal that can form the stable binary halides is which element? Third element. Like that we have to be analysis. And to identify the metal, non-metal, noble gas, which can form binary halide, which can form monohalide. So now, in the second question, first ionization enthalpy, second ionization enthalpy value of few elements designated by Roman numerals with electron gain enthalpy values are also given in this question. So there are 6 elements are there. Their first ionization enthalpy value, second ionization enthalpy value and electron gain enthalpy values are given. We need to find out which is the least reactive element, most reactive metal, most reactive non-metal, least reactive non-metal, metal which can form stable binary halide Mx2, metal which can form stable monohalide Mx. Go to the first question. Least reactive element we need to identify. To least reactive, the first ionization enthalpy should be very large. Okay, and electron gain enthalpy value is positive. So now which one it is among the 6 elements when we are observing the first and second and electron gain enthalpy values, we can see the 5th one is having the first ionization enthalpy value is very large, and that means they are not ready to lose the electron, clearly indicates. In that case, least reactive. The electron gain enthalpy values are positive. So when the electron gain enthalpy values are positive means they have no tendency to accept the electron easily. They are not ready to lose the electron, they are not ready to gain the electron. That's why the fifth element is the least reactive element. So that fifth one is ruled out. Then go to the most reactive metal. Most reactive metal means which is ready to lose the electron. So which is ready to lose the electron means it is having the least ionization enthalpy value. Among the first, second, third, fourth and sixth, the second one is having the low ionization enthalpy value, that is 419. That's why the answer is second one. And go to the most reactive non-metal. The most reactive non-metal means definitely that should be having the ionization enthalpy value is high, but more negative electron gain enthalpy value, because the non-metals are always ready to accept the electron. They have a greater tendency to accept the electron. When the greater tendency to accept the electron gain enthalpy values are more negative. In where the electron gain enthalpy values are more negative, in the third case, that is minus 328. That's why most reactive non-metal is third one. And least reactive non-metal. Least reactive non-metal means the electron gain enthalpy values are negative and the ionization enthalpy values are very high. So far the fifth one is ruled out, and the second one is ruled out, and the third one is also ruled out. Then the first, fourth and sixth. The first and sixth are having the low ionization enthalpy value than compared to the fourth one. So the non-metal means which is not ready to lose the electron. In that case, the ionization enthalpy value is definitely high. 520, 1008, 738. 520 and 738 are less than 1008. That's why these two are corresponding to the metals, but it is corresponding to the non-metals. And moreover, the one more supporting factor, it should be having the more negative electron gain enthalpy value. That's why the fourth one is the least reactive non-metal. And comes to the metal which can form stable binary halide. Now the competition is exists between the first and sixth one. So where the ionization enthalpy values difference is less, so that is ready to lose the 2 electrons, because to form the binary halide, it is ready to lose the 2 electrons. In the first case, 520 and 7200. In the sixth case, 738 and 1450. Here, the difference between the first ionization enthalpy and second ionization enthalpy is less, but whereas in the first case it is large. That's why which is ready to lose the electron? The sixth element is ready to lose the electron, so that's why that can form the stable binary halide MH2, so that the answer is here sixth one. And the metal which can form stable monohalide, that means it is ready to lose only one electron very fastly. So here the second electron is not ready to lose, because here the ionization enthalpy value is very high. Here it is 520, just it is ready to lose. So the metal which can form stable monohalide MX, that is the element, first element can form MX halide. So like that we can analysis with the help of the ionization enthalpy values and electron gain enthalpy values, which is more reactive, which is less reactive, which can form stable halide of binary or mono. Like that, by analyzing these values we can identify. So this is about some problems on the ionization enthalpy. In the next class I will try to explain some more problems in the periodicity in properties. Thank you.